StitchyTube, settle down and watch StitchyTube. Hey, Saturday, how are ya? I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. It is StitchyTube number 27, lucky number 27. It's hard to believe that many have gone by. My mom just started watching my StitchyTubes today, so it only took her 27 StitchyTube videos to join the bandwagon. I'm not even really sure if she's subscribed. She had a little trouble figuring out, you know, how to get set up with an account because she wanted to be able to comment. So welcome to my mother. I think she's going to watch them in order, so it'll probably be a while till she gets to this one. I have only two questions, unless I wrote some down somewhere else, and if I find them, I'll talk about them next time. But Lorna McDonald wanted to know if on antique samplers all the cross stitches are facing the same direction. In other words, does the top stitch of a cross stitch always point either to the left or to the right? And they don't. There are, I'm trying to remember if she said it or if somebody else this week said that they had heard that making all the cross stitches in the same direction is a relatively new concept. I don't know the answer on that. I hadn't heard that before. It could be true. But in any case, a lot of the samplers that I get from, they're stitched by girls, really, the ones that I own anyway, and the crosses do sometimes go in different directions, but it seems like mostly they go in the same. So like they're making their X's the same way, but sometimes they'll, make some going in a different direction. And it depends on the girl. One of the interesting things about looking at and reproducing old samplers is you learn a lot about the girl who stitched it based on, how she handled mistakes and how neat her stitching was and her attention to detail and to color. Was she getting bored? Sometimes you can tell. Or was she getting frustrated? Or was she trying to go against the tide and put in some changes and make things a little bit her own? It's really neat to see, and you kind of wonder like what these little girls ended up being like. Anyway, so no, they're not all in the same direction. Sandy Graham wanted to know how to do 1/1 stitching on Ada. You can do it, and you just have to think of a cross stitch on Ada, which is 4 corners, and I'll show you a little diagram in a second. Think of that as 4 stitches that have to fit in that. So you've got, if you just made a plus sign through the middle of that Ada square, each one of those corners would be 1 stitch. And so it may end up looking something like this when you've got your fabric. That think of these holes as the holes in your Ada, and then anytime you've got, this would be the center of the square. So if you had to do a stitch and a stitch, you actually pierce the center of the square and then make the stitches just take up that little corner. So each stitch, when you look at it at a graph that's over 1, typically they'll have tiny over 1 stitches. So each square on the chart will have tiny stitches in one of 4 corners. And so that's how you would follow it, is you just would need to pierce the center of the fabric to make your little X. Anytime you're making stitching over 1, you can make it a little bit easier by putting it in a hoop. That's one of the few times that I use a hoop or a Q-snap is to do the over 1 stitching. I just find that my stitches lay much more nicely. And if you are doing over 1 on Ada, one of the things that might help you is to work just for that part with maybe a slightly sharper needle. You can do it with a tapestry needle, but to pierce the center of the square, you may just want to be able to poke it through a little bit more easily. But plenty of people, have stitched over 1. Think about fractional stitches. You might have a chart where you have to make a diagonal line and then either fill in the bottom or fill in the top to make it a 3/4 inch or a 1/4 inch stitch. So it's basically the same, except you're making X's in each corner. I hope that made sense. If not, if people would like to see a demonstration, I might be able to come up with some fabric and be able to show you. So that's it for questions. If you have questions, you can leave them in the comments. What I do is I typically give your question a short answer, and then I'll talk about it in the next StitchyTube if I manage not to lose your question. But I do answer every comment, and if I miss you, I'm sorry. I really do. I think I get everybody, but I'm not sure. The winner of last week's drawing, and I will remind you what it was. as soon as I find it. It was pretty good prize. Pretty good prize. This book, 7 Historical Samplers, which I found 2 copies on eBay for $20 a piece. This is a booklet that goes for up to $120. It's got 7 reproduction samplers in it, and it came out, does it say? I know the suspense is killing you. Okay, so this was a 3rd printing in February of 92. 92, 02, 12. Wow, this is old. 26 years old, this chart is. And you can see originally it was $7.95. Isn't that crazy? What a good deal. But beautiful samplers in this. The winner of it is Kelly Pruitt. And the question was, what was one of your favorite Halloween costumes? I loved Halloween. And Kelly said that she went as a bedsheet bride. She made a bride's costume one year out of a bedsheet and some lace, and she loved that. It was really fun to read your descriptions of what some of your favorite costumes were. It sounds like a lot of you liked Halloween. Some of you down under in Australia said you don't really celebrate Halloween down there, and that's too bad because Halloween's really fun. But some of you were able to come up with times that you had costumes at costume parties. There really were some very creative costumes. One I remember is somebody went as a table with a centerpiece on it, and then her head was in the centerpiece. Like, that's super cool. I remember one year I made, Harrison was little, and he was maybe like 3 or maybe 3-ish, 4-ish, and he wanted to go as Cookie Monster, and I couldn't find a Cookie Monster costume, so I made one. I went to Northwest Fabrics. I got some blue faux fur. I made kind of like a hat that, like tied around the neck, and it had either ping pong balls or styrofoam balls with googly eyes. And then I made fur gloves for him that just had elastic so he could just pull them on. And so I made up this costume. It was kind of cool. And when I finished it, I was like, okay, here's your costume. He would not wear it. And so I wore it. I was like, I'm going to use this costume. And we ended up painting his face just orange like a pumpkin and called it a day. But kids, it's funny because some of you were like, some people were like, oh, my mom always made our costumes and they were awesome. And some people said, oh, we always had homemade costumes and it wasn't too much. And then some people were like, oh, we had that store-bought costume, and then some people were like, oh, the store-bought costume, the masks made you sweaty and the elastic would break. And it's just kind of funny. Halloween is a treat. I trick-or-treated until I was 16, I think. I probably would still trick-or-treat. Nah, I don't know. I don't know if I would. I can just go buy candy, but Halloween is fun. So congratulations, Kelly. Please email me your address and I will send your book off, and congratulations on that. Now, I think I managed to not give away the other thing last week. I think I skipped over it. My sister had a Lizzie Kate Secret Garden kit 2 videos ago. She wasn't going to finish, and Vanessa White, you won that. So also send me an email to my email address below, and Vanessa, you win that. I do have another one of Laura's UFOs to give away. So it comes with the chart and the start of the project. So this is the chart. It's Bent Creek's Summer Soapbox, and I've stitched that one. Oh, I guess I didn't bring mine in, but it's really, really cute. She started it in sampler threads. It doesn't come with the sampler threads, and this is as far as she got before she quit. And she didn't even finish the length of thread she was on. She just was like, done. So she didn't think she'd ever finish this one, and that's fine. She has other projects to work on. But I thought I'd pass it on, I'm sure one of you would like to take it on. It's 32 count dirty linen, I believe. Not dirty like it's filthy. It's not dirty, but it's called dirty. And that's the start you get. So just in the comments, I guess, just say I'd like the Summer Soapbox piece, or I'd like your sister's UFO, or whatever. Just make some reference to this, and then you'll be entered, and I'll do a random drawing next time for that. But I have a giveaway for this week too. Something kind of fallish and something kind of fun. I've got a DMC New Colors collection still from 2 collections ago. So these are a bunch of the late 3800 numbers, and it comes with some charts too, I think. So you get 16 skeins, and then this little notepad from the Lang Company, which is kind of fallish. I think it's really cute. It reminds me of like late, early fall, late summer, kind of camping. So if you would like to sign up to win this prize. I didn't write a question down. Okay, so if you were a trick-or-treater, what either was the most amazing treat you ever got, or what was it where you went to the house and they brought up the bowl full of candy and you were like, yes, like it was Snicker bars or, you know, M&Ms or whatever, you know, what was your favorite treat? Or like maybe what treat do you like to always give away? If you don't celebrate Halloween where you are, maybe just say what your favorite treat would be. If you somebody came with a bowl of candy, what would you want that bowl to have in it? I always liked, my brother and I would divvy the candy at the end of the night. So we would get all of our candy, dump it out on the floor in front of us, you know, spread it out, and then we would just do tradesies. I actually like those little peanut butter taffies, you know, where it's like it's in an orange wrapper or a black wrapper, and it's a taffy, and then the center has like kind of a gritty peanut buttery thing. I like those. I like Smarties. You know, you can't go wrong with like a Reese's peanut butter cup or a Snicker bar. I like the Almond Joys and the Mounds bars. I'm trying to think of what. I'm not a fan of Three Musketeers. Never have been. Or Milky Way. I guess I just like the peanuts in a Snickers bar. I'm trying to think like what the best thing. You know, once in a while you would get like a full-size candy bar. And I remember this one time a lady came to the door and she had a box of like, I don't know if she went like to the Oriental Trading Company or where, but she had like, and this was back before you had like Sam's Club and Michael's and Target and things. She had like stickers and pencils and like all of it was really cool, and we could just pick what we wanted, which was great. So what was your favorite treat? And you'll be entered for that drawing. You don't have to subscribe. You don't even have to like me to enter. You can just enter, but just don't say drawing. Let's not encourage non-stitchers to win. But you know what? If you're not a stitcher and you're watching and you're this far, you can enter. What's your favorite candy? All right, let's talk about what I'm all into this week. Townsends, I hope I'm saying that right, is a video. It's a channel here on YouTube, and I'll put a link to their channel below. It's all kinds of videos about colonial America, and a lot of them are about cooking, you know, survival. They have like barn raising videos, and they are affiliated with a shop. They have a shop where you can buy period clothing to like wear to the grocery store. I don't know where you wear it. They must have like fairs and things, but I'm like, ooh, I kind of would like to. Wouldn't it be fun, like for Market, to just dress up like a colonial woman? But anyway, their videos are very interesting, and I've been ironing a ton of fabric the last week, and so I just put my YouTube on autoplay so that I didn't have to keep going and switching videos, and it just cycled through a bunch of their videos. I think they have almost 900 videos, and they're very interesting, and I feel like as stitchers, a lot of us, you know, if you like samplers, you're kind of tied to the 1700s and the 1800s, and so it's very interesting to see like what they ate, how they ate it, how they prepared it. I watched an episode about pemmican this week, which is like animal fat and meat and dried berries, and they would make it into these like cake patty things, and they say that they last 20 or 30 years, but it's like kind of sustenance food, you know, to get you through a long trip or whatever. But so then we had a conversation last night at dinner. Would you, if somebody had 20-year pemmican, would you eat it? And Harrison and I were like, yes, I would eat it. I totally would try it. And Steve was kind of more reluctant. He was like, well, if I knew the person and I was sure that it hadn't gone bad and wasn't going to make me sick. He started kind of listing off all these kind of criteria that had to be met in order for him to try it. And I said, wow, you sure have strong opinions about pemmican. Because it's not something that, I don't know, maybe we should all make some pemmican today and get back together in 20 years and see how it goes. But anyway, so check them out. The videos are very, very well done, and they're very interesting. Really great to listen to even while you're stitching, because you don't necessarily have to watch you can just listen to them talk about it. I'm all into ordering clothes from the Gap online. We don't have a Gap locally anymore. We have an outlet about an hour and a half away. I've always liked shopping at the Gap because their clothes are staples. I don't like a lot of patterns or glitter. I like I like heavy duty clothes that are going to take a washing and not get pilly. I don't like thin little lacy things that I'm going to have to iron. I want jeans that are going to last a long time, and I need long pants, and the Gap has longs and talls. And so they had a sale online a week and a half ago, and I needed some new clothes because my clothes are, like I said in a previous video, I just don't get clothes very often, and I have this show coming up, and I didn't want to look like a ragamuffin. So I got some clothes, including I got some jeans for like 20 bucks, which you can't even make jeans for 20 bucks. Am I right, people? Am I right? Okay. So they didn't have my size in long, which is what I normally get, but they had it in tall, and I was like, long and tall, what's the difference between long and tall? About 8 inches. Seriously, they're so tall. They go up to my nipples if I hold them where they touch the floor. So for right now, I'm not wearing them today. I wore them yesterday, but I had them rolled a couple of times, and I'm just going to wear them a few times and wash them a few times and see if they shrink up a little bit, and then I'll probably cut them and trim them. Or I don't know, maybe I'll just, you know, wear them rolled or something. I don't really care. They're very comfy. And I love the jeans now that have the stretch in it. But anyway, I like ordering clothes on from the Gap. And then if you need to do returns, they're really good about it. They don't charge you. You just say why you wanted to return it. Like it didn't fit, you don't like it, it's got a flaw, whatever. You print off a thing and you drop it off at the UPS, you know, any UPS location and send it back. I'm all into vegetable chips. You know, I'm kind of on this continuing diet. I've lost 5 pounds. And by lost 5 pounds, I mean the scale keeps going down and not back up again, which is a good thing. But, you know, I feel like when we get snacky, you want to have something that's kind of crunchy and salty sometimes. And potato chips aren't necessarily great for you, or corn chips. But I got these vegetable chips at Corner Market, but I've seen them at lots of other grocery stores. They're, you know, like carrots and beets and what else? Green beans are in here. Sweet potato, squash. There's taro, which I really like those. And there's sea salt, and it's canola oil. It's not too high in calories, and it does have, you know, some of your daily vitamins. It's got a whole bunch of vitamin A, which is good. But anyway, they're nice. And the thing with stuff like this is it sometimes tastes unusual when you try something for starters. Like I drink a little bit of LaCroix now, LaCroix water. Okay, everybody's all into LaCroix. And the first few times I was like, what is it? What do people see in this? It's like barely a flavor. It's like hearing somebody whisper in the other room. Like, oh, what was that, peach? I don't know. But once you try it a few times, you're like, oh, okay, now I have a taste for this. And it's the same with these. They actually have way more flavor than a potato chip, I think. So I'm all into that. I'm all into reading the instructions. Okay, so I've been ironing a ton lately because I'm dyeing all this fabric. And I got an iron. Steve had bought an iron like last year, and I dropped it and broke it. It just like water would just run out of it. So I threw it away and ordered the same one again. And really within a couple of heavy days usage, it was leaking. And I was like, God dang it, what do you have to do? Now I watched Donna Ray's video with Pat from R&R where she talks about, you know, like if you get a leak, if your iron starts to leak, you're done. And I was like, I just bought this. So I actually read the instructions, which we never read. Why do people not read the instructions? There's good information in the instructions. So just so you know, if you're ironing, sometimes like on mine, the light will go off. It'll say ready. And sometimes ready disappears. And that means the iron is no longer hot enough to make steam. And so the iron will try to spit out steam, but all it's got is water because it's not hot enough to make steam. So you just have to take a deep breath and wait like 5 seconds, and then it's ready to go again, and just slow and steady, and it works so much better. Like that instantly fixed the problem for me. So I read the instructions. So I need to make a better effort to read instructions with things. But and the last thing I'm all into is making a pile of junk. I know I've talked in the last couple of videos about how we're trying to clean out around here and get rid of things. You know, you get to be almost 50 years old and you accumulate some weird things. And sometimes when you don't have the place for things, they end up going, you know, like you have your junk drawer or you have a cupboard that's just kind of all a mishmash. I had a couple of totes and tubs that were like in the attic and stuff. And so what I'm doing is one tub at a time, I dump it all out on the couch. And over the course of a few days, every time I walk through, I take something else and either put it away, throw it away, or put it in the donate box. And so it doesn't seem like such a big task to like have to make 100 decisions or whatever. It's like, okay, just keep grabbing things until the pile disappears and then make another pile. And it's a good way to go through things. We just end up with stuff where it's like you hate to get rid of it, but it's like, but I'll never use it. I haven't used it. But sometimes it's like, oh, I forgot I had this. And then it's helpful. So I'm into making a pile of junk. As always, that's what I'm all into this week. I haven't done a kitten stitcher cheap and cheerful for a while, and for that I'm sorry. I've even written it on my list a few times, and I just keep overlooking it. I think this week our cheap and cheerful should be to share a recipe. We all have recipes that we like, and some of them are meaningful to us because they're things that maybe our grandparents or our aunt made, or it's a recipe that you've made for special occasions. In my family, one of the things we do is when it's your birthday, you get to pick your dessert. So we don't necessarily have cake every birthday. I've made apple pies, pumpkin pies, carrot cake. We've gone out for ice cream. But the staple for my boys the last couple of years has been chocolate cheesecake with raspberry sauce. Now, Harrison, a couple of years ago, found a recipe for turtle cheesecake, and he was like, ooh, this sounds intriguing. Now, it was a fairly heavy-duty recipe. It was lots of steps. It was very good. But when I made the batter, I like cheesecake, but it's got to be good cheesecake. I don't like foamy, light as air cheesecake. That's just foam. I want a dense, heavy cheesecake that's moist but heavy, thick. And so this recipe for turtle cheesecake, I noticed that the base was very good. Like just when it was vanilla before I put a bunch of the other stuff in, I gave it a taste. And I was like, oh man, that is good base. So then once you find a good base, you're like, all right, let's go. And so you could put berries in it. You could put crushed up Heath bars in it. You could put nuts in it. You could swirl chocolate in it. So what I do is I add unsweetened chocolate and melted chocolate chips to just this base recipe. And it's got a lot of cream cheese. To me, that's what makes a cheesecake a really good cheesecake, is when it's heavy on the cream cheese. And it's not in any way good for you, except for that it's good for your soul because it makes you feel happy. But it's a once in a while thing. I make it twice a year, and I have one piece, and the kids polish off the rest. Graham last night I was like, well, do you want to take the rest of this home? And he was like, well, Harrison, why don't you take one piece as big as you want, and then I'll take the rest. And even Steve had a couple of pieces last night, a couple of small slivers. He's not big into cheesecake, but it is a good recipe. So I'm going to include the recipe in the notes below and how I do this recipe. And I'll include a link to the original recipe in case you want to try the turtle cheesecake. A cheesecake is a little bit fussier thing to make than just a regular cake, but you just follow instructions. The interesting thing is you make I think it's called a bain-marie, which is a water bath. So you get a big tray, and then you put your cheesecake pan in there, and there's water in the tray. You cover the bottom of the tray with tin foil, and it just kind of creates this steamy environment so that the cheesecake stays moist and cooks properly or whatever. It's amazing. It's a great recipe. So I'm going to share that with you guys. But on Instagram, why don't you hashtag KSCAC with a link maybe to your favorite recipe, or you can just include your favorite recipe in the instructions, or if you've got a recipe card, take a picture of it and post that on Instagram. Let's share some recipes this week. I know I mentioned a couple videos ago that I was in the mood for meatloaf, and I'm going to make meatloaf today. I think I'm going to make meatloaf today. It's a good fall thing, and it's mid-September now, so let's all have some meatloaf. But anyway, share your recipes this week. Maybe we'll find some new favorite things to make, and you can mention what you like about the recipe too. So that's hashtag KSCAC for Kitten Stitcher Cheap and Cheerful. Okay, I have been busy getting ready for the show, and I had a couple of unfinished projects that were so close to completion that I was like, I'm going to complete these, go to Neblets, pick out some frames, and just finish these up. And so I actually finished 2 pieces in one night this week, which is exciting. That is exciting. And so one of them is Brenda Gervais' Fruitful Labor Rest, I think it's called. I've got this on my website. Hashtag, link below. And this was really fun to stitch. The top part takes a lot longer than the bottom part. And I thought I was going to get sick of making those sunflowers, but I really didn't. They go really quick. And it's just as cute as can be, and I picked out a really cute frame for that. I think it's kind of barnwoody or something, but I'm going to go pick up some frames from Neblets today. And then the other one, looks like Ruby shed some hair on this one. The other one is, what's it called? All Our Troubles by La Di Da. And all I had left was to put my initials, the year, and then finish the top line. That's all I had left. So I just cranked that one out too. And that one is also in my website if you want to buy the chart. But it turned out really cute, and the frame, I like the frame for that one too. And then I had a couple of other FOs that needed frames. Neblets is so darn cheap, people. Neblets is so cheap. I wish you all had a Neblets. But sadly you don't. I think Jackson, Mississippi has a Neblets too. And they're very nice too, and good framing. So I also wanted to share an FFO that I've never shown before. I just thought, I was brushing my teeth today. It hangs right by my sink in the bathroom, and it's got glass on it, so it's protected in there. And I always have had glass on this one, but it's what is it called? It's called English Sampler, and it was designed by Sandy Orton, I believe. Let me see. Does it say? I don't know. I think it's Sandy Orton. It's in this magazine, Treasures in Needlework magazine. And it is the November 92 issue. No, wait, that doesn't say November. It says it's summer 92 is when this issue came out. So these are really great magazines, and you can find them still on eBay. I saw this one was up this week, and I think there was one of these up, and it was $27. But if you watch, you can find these for, you know, $5 to $10. I have the complete set still from when I had a subscription. But this is what it looks like. And it's, you know, kind of a modern take on a band sampler. And I stitched this one. Okay, so this came out in 92. When did I finish mine? Oh, I finished it in 94. I don't think I started it right away, but I definitely really liked it. And so here it is. And it's just stitched in DMC. And it's very, very pretty. And it had specialty stitches like these alphabets, I think, might be Montenegrin crosses maybe. And there are some eyelets and some satin stitching. And there's some gold Krynick here with some queen stitches. And there's some pulled work and some white work and some cut work. And OMG, did I hate doing that cut work. When I did it, I was like, I'm never doing cut work again. I probably will, but I haven't. Since 1994, I don't think I've done anything like that. It's not that it's hard, it's just that it's fiddly, and the instructions that come with the chart are very good. I had never really done a lot of these stitches. Those are bullions. They're pretty good bullions for a 24. I was 24 years old when I did this. And I would say this probably was my first sampler, you know, like it wasn't an antique, but it's made to look like an old sampler, but it's in kind of more updated colors. These were like the old DMC 221 and 223, you know, kind of the old standards. This was probably, you know, 729, 677. You know what I'm talking about, people. If you're a stitcher, you know it. But anyway, it's really pretty. I love the strawberries, and they have tiny little gold stitches for, let's see if you can see them. See the tiny gold stitches. So pretty. Anyway, I really still like that one a lot, and I just had never shown it, so I just thought I'd show it to you. All right, list of 10. I feel like you guys are finally catching on to the list of 10. I've been doing them since my first video, not every video, but a lot of videos. I just come up with 10 things to talk about regarding a topic. And with the Galleria show coming up, I wanted to talk about just 10 things about consumer shows, things to know, things to do, things not to do. And so I will put a link to the Galleria show below. It is a consumer show, which means anybody can go. There is a fee that you pay to get into the show. And then there are classes, and I'm unclear as to whether there are spots left in some of the classes. There may be. I mean, online it looks like there are still a few spots in some classes, and there are some really cool classes. And then they have like a stitching lounge, that several stitching lounges that are open until midnight. And are people there until midnight? Yes, they are. So it's a super fun time. There's going to be a lot to do, a lot of people. I know, I want to say that there are, you know, as of 2 months ago, there were 400 people signed up. I don't know where we're at right now, but it's going to be great. So 10 things to know about consumer shows, and some of this applies to like wholesale shows and things like that. But if you okay, so number one is if you want an opportunity to really talk to or ask questions or hang out with a designer, a shop owner, an exhibitor, or whatever, go back the last day. The last day is typically a lot quieter than the rush the first 2 days. And this one, next Thursday, there's a sneak peek from like 1 to 4 where you can go into the shops from 1 to 4. And so that's going to be insanity. And then the show is open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think. So Sunday would be a good day. The last day of the show is always a good day to go, you know, talk to people. And really then you can just kind of look at the things that are left, because there are things that you maybe missed out on while you were kind of, you know, elbow to elbow with everybody else. It's going to be hard for anybody to have too much, you know, chit-chat time with you when there are 30 people in the booth. So wait till the last day for that kind of thing. You have better luck, and, you know, sometimes they're just, the exhibitors are just kind of twiddling their thumbs on the last day. Number 2, and this would go for retreats too, but pack for comfort. It's a long day. You know, each day is, you probably are getting up early, but you're probably staying up later than you normally would too. And so wear clothes that are comfortable. Nobody cares. Nobody, well, I don't care. I would think most people wouldn't be like, oh my goodness, did you see the comfortable jeans and shoes she was wearing? Wear what you're comfortable in. You can, and if you're comfortable getting dressed up and you like to do that, you should do that too. But just be aware that, you know, comfortable shoes are probably a good idea. Layers are always a good idea, because you never know. Sometimes it's like, oh, the air conditioner's broken, it's so hot in here. And then sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, they have the air conditioning cranked so high, I'm just freezing. So have a couple of, you know, options for either shedding a sweater or a sweatshirt, or, you know, an extra layer, or putting something extra on, and that'll just keep you a little bit more happy. Comfortable shoes are good. If you're going to be doing shopping for a while, have think about if something that you could bring that would help you carry things easily. So if, you know, if your shoulder gets tired after a while of walking around with a bag, maybe you want to bring a backpack, or maybe you want to bring a little rolling grocery cart. You know, some people have like little carts that they just pull behind them, almost like pull behind luggage. I used to actually, my first few shows, just take my carry-on luggage with wheels on it and put it in there, and it was just as easy. But you may also want to pack things like, you know, some water or some granola bars or some nuts or something like that, just in case you get hungry. There typically is food available, and there are going to be a lot of places to eat nearby, but sometimes it's nice just to have, you know, replenish yourself a little bit. Consider first aid items too. Just things like Band-Aids, like maybe you'll get a blister walking around so much, or aspirin is a good idea, Tylenol, that kind of thing. Cough drops are not a bad idea. If you have allergies at all, it's often a good idea to take allergy medication, because you're going to a new community and you don't know what's in their air there that might really kind of affect your nose and whatnot. Okay, item number 3, cash, charge, checks, PayPal. How do you pay people? Everybody's different. I'm taking all of it. And you just, you know, most shops will tell you what kind of payment they're accepting and what they're not accepting. There are a lot of ways to pay nowadays. I will tell you that an exhibitor doesn't have to pay a fee to put a check or cash in their bank account. Whereas if you're using PayPal or a credit card or even a debit card, the company will take maybe like 2.5% or up to 3% of the total that they take as a charge to run the charge. So they're actually, the exhibitor would be making a little bit less. But then a lot of shops and businesses do like to have the money in hand. And so a lot of times, like I have one of those devices you put in your phone and you can swipe a card and it immediately goes into my PayPal account, and I have access to that immediately on a debit card, or I can dump it into my bank account. So just, you know, if you're flexible, you can ask when you're making a purchase, do you have a preference as to how I pay? And sometimes they might say, oh gosh, we have no change right now. And so just, you know, you can just ask. So I do know that some people, if you have a budget, it's very easy to go over budget at these shows, because you're going to see so many amazing things. And so if you really are like, no, seriously, I can only spend this much money, take it in cash in an envelope. And when it's gone, stop spending money. That's what some people do. And it's a good way to just make sure that you don't get like, too crazy. Number 4, take pictures. It's fun to take pictures of things you see that you like. If you want to take pictures in a exhibitor's booth, you can always say, hey, is it okay if I take pictures of your display? I think most people are going to say, yeah, of course you can, because it's, going to remind you of your time there and things that you liked. And I think most people are okay with it. But take pictures of you and your friends too, and people that you meet. Number 5, if you want to touch a model, it's always a good idea to ask first. I never mind if people touch my models, and sometimes it's just hard to resist because you see something beautiful and I don't know where it's just like, I must touch it. And you just want to touch it, especially if it's like a little pincushion or a little needle book or a little ornament or something. They just are very touchable. And so ask permission. I know, where did I see it? At a museum or some place where it was that kind of thing where it's like, oh, everybody wants to touch things. They had a little framed piece of white fabric and it had a sign below and it said, touch this. And this is to show you what happens if everybody touches something. And so this piece of fabric has a big grimy circle in the middle just from people just touching it. And so your hands might not be dirty, but they're a little dirty. And if everybody touched everything, things would get pretty dirty. So if you want to pick something up to examine it, I would just ask permission first if you think about it. Okay, number 6. Look for exclusives or things you might only be able to find at the show. A lot of the people that exhibit at these kind of shows are going to bring something special. So they might have like a limited kit or some things that they ordered in specifically for the show. A lot of, charts you can find, or maybe not, but I guess, I don't know. I was telling my son last night, I have so much good stuff in my booth that if I was a consumer and I went in my booth, I would probably have a panic attack because I would want to buy everything. But I guess look for the things that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing this fabric in person and I'm going to buy it. Because there's always that regret a year later where you're like, remember when I saw that thing at the market and then I came home and I thought I could find it and then I never could, or it sold out or whatever. We all have those kind of, what is it? A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. So look for things that, if you're immediately drawn to something, I don't know, you kind of know. Sometimes I'll pick something up and I'll be like, oh, I really like this. And then I think, do I want it? And I hold it and I imagine it in my house somewhere. And then I decide, am I excited about that? Or am I like, And I try to make a good decision that way. But look for exciting things because they're out there and the booths are going to be just full of cool stuff. Number 7, talk to your fellow participants. There are so many cool people that goes to these shows, and it's your opportunity to hang around other stitchers. And so if you're in a booth, when somebody's holding something, go, oh my gosh, where'd you get that? Or, oh, I love that. I have that one. Or, did you see this over here? Talk to people. I think a lot of us stitchers are introverted because stitching is very solitary. We spend a lot of time up here while we're stitching. And I actually have always been really shy. And some of you may find me very different in person than I am on my StitchyTube videos. I really like people though, but it's a good opportunity for us just to talk to other people that do the same kinds of things that we like to do and get ideas and make new connections and things. You just never know who you're going to run into. Number 8 is look for opportunities to socialize. A lot of times at these events they have classes, and sometimes they'll have gatherings like, oh, there's a dinner and everybody's going, or I went to a show once where there was a riverboat cruise that you could take. That was one evening. There are stitching lounges at the Galleria where you can just go stitch until midnight. If somebody says, hey, we're all going to dinner, do you want to go? Go! Go! Because you're only going to be there for a couple of days and you're going to make new friends. And so don't be like, oh, I don't want to be a bother, or my feet kind of hurt. Just go. Your feet can hurt. Take one of your Tylenol that you brought to stay comfortable and just go. You'll have a great time. It's just really fun to meet other people. And, you know, with social media the way it is these days, it's so easy for us to stay in touch with people that we've met either through Instagram or email or Skype or FaceTiming or YouTube or whatever. So make sure that you take the opportunities to socialize. Number 9, designers and shop owners are just people. We're just ladies, and some of us are just guys. And that's what we are. And so we're quirky, and we all have different personalities, and we're excited that you like our things, and we want you to like our things too. And so don't be afraid to talk to people or take your picture with them, or you know, there's a lot of hugging that goes on, and I will say right now, I'm not a hugger, but I have gotten to where I can be. So if you come up and you want a hug, I'll give you a hug. I prefer a high five. So if you're watching and you're going to be there and you go, hey, high five, I know you're watching. But it's okay to interact with people because they're just people. We're not rock stars or superstars, and even if we were, I guess if we were rock stars, we probably wouldn't be doing cross stitch. I don't know. Are there any rock stars that do cross stitch? I'm not sure. Number 10 is basically to mind your P's and Q's. It's nice to hear, you know, thank you for coming to the show. It's a huge undertaking for any of these exhibitors to put together a class, to pay the booth fee, to travel and pay for the travel. There's a ton of prep work. Even just getting everything from the lobby up to the room and set up is huge. Taking it down and putting it away and hauling it back home is huge. And so I'm not looking for thank yous, but it's just nice. Like I always say a thank you to the show, people who run the show. Thank you so much for putting the show on. I know it was a lot of work, and I had a great time, and you did a great job. Like that's just nice. And this week I was at Sam's Club, and I was looking at the vegetables, and they had green beans, and I like green beans, but you know, sometimes you're like, ooh, I think these green beans are about to go bad, because they kind of had that, they're a little bit watery, and I was like, are these, so I was trying to find the expiration date on them to see if I wanted to buy them or not, if I was going to be able to eat them before they went bad. So I was very focused on green beans. This is what I'm saying, people. I was focused on green beans, and I felt to my left a lady kind of come in, creep around me, you know, and she kind of was like, you know, just reaching around very gently. So she didn't want to bother me. She was being very polite. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm totally in your way. And she goes, it's okay. We're all in this together. And I was like, right on, sister. She was like 70 years old. And I was like, yeah, you got it. We're all in this together. So at the show, if you bump into somebody, I'm sorry. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you, please. You're welcome. God bless you. Whatever. Just be friendly, and it can create a nice environment at the show. I have been to shows where people get cranky, and crankiness can spread like wildfire. Finn, don't stick your face in the candle. Shows can get negative real quick. And, you know, things rub off on people. So I feel like if you're like having fun and you're smiling and you're laughing, that's contagious too. So let's make shows fun and not fun. Because it's not great to go home after a show and go, that was really negative. We don't get to do this that often. I love going to consumer shows because, you know, I had a walk-in business for a long time, and I never really had the foot traffic like I would have liked. So it's very exciting for me to have people come in and be excited about my wares. And so we'll just make it a positive experience. That's my 10 things. Just have fun. So the link to the Galleria will be below. It is this coming week. I am leaving on Tuesday. I go pick up my U-Haul. I'm taking a cargo van on Tuesday at noon. We're going to pack it up, and we're going to drive part of the way because we can't check in until 3 o'clock on Wednesday. And then we'll do the show, and we'll come back home all in one fell swoop on Monday. But very much looking forward to it. There are going to be a lot of great people there, designers and shop owners alike. Okay. I wanted to say a few things about, you know, like just kind of YouTube things. Liking and disliking videos and subscribing to videos. I kind of followed suit with everybody where, you know, people have at the end, like, don't forget to like and subscribe. And you would just tell people, like, you can join this contest, but make sure you like and subscribe. I'm not going to do that anymore. And it's not that I don't think you, and I think other people can do it. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. But for me, let me just explain what those things are. When you subscribe to a channel, it means that you click on the subscribe button, you know, under the video. So it'll be right here, right? Or right here. It's in one of these two places. There's a button that'll say subscribe or unsubscribe. If it says unsubscribe, it means you've already subscribed. And you can go to the upper corner, the left. I can never tell because I'm looking at not a mirror image of myself. You can go to the corner and then click on that, and then it'll say subscriptions. And if you look at those subscriptions every day, you can see who's loaded new videos that day. And so it's hitting subscribe just means it's a little bit easier for you to keep track of who it is that you like watching. And if you subscribe or if you unsubscribe, it doesn't really in a huge way affect the person that you're watching. It's mainly to help you find the people that you like to watch. And you know, I think people like to have subscribers. It's kind of like Facebook, where it's like, how many friends do you have on Facebook? How many subscribers do you have? It's very flattering to have subscribers, but you know, and the more people that watch your videos, if you're monetizing by putting commercials on, you know, you make whatever 3 cents per watch or whatever, and it adds up over time. So that's what subscribing is. And then the like and dislike button. I know that in the past, you know, that there have been people that get upset about, you know, not getting enough likes or getting too many dislikes. Likes, when you like a video, it's nice because it sends that person a you know, basically just like a comment that you enjoyed it. But it also means YouTube will say, oh, this person clicked like here, so on the front page of YouTube, we're going to suggest more videos there or in the feed or in the feed. I never know which way I'm pointing. That are like the video that the person liked. Okay, so they're going to try to find you more videos that are similar to what you've clicked the like button on. When you click dislike, YouTube goes, oh, that person didn't like this video. I'm going to show them less of what's like this or less of this channel. So it is helpful to the person clicking dislike in a way, because it's like, oh, I'm not interested in that. The problem with the dislike button is that I think most people use it to say, Harrison the other day called it the boo button. It's like going, boo, boo. Like in a dark auditorium, like being one person yelling boo. And so people's feelings get hurt, you know, because they're like, why don't you like me? And the thing you have to remember is a dislike can be, people can click it for a lot of reasons. They can click it by mistake. A kid could walk by and be just fiddling around and accidentally click the button. You can get teenagers goofing around on YouTube and just finding as many videos to dislike as they can. And it may be just someone that's just, I don't like you. And you just have to really not take it personally. So I don't, like at the end of my videos, I always put, don't forget to like and subscribe. And now it just says, don't forget to have fun and smile. Because really, I'd rather you do that. But you can subscribe and like if you want to. It helps you in a way get more of the type of content that you like. That's all. That's all it does. Okay. I'm going to talk quickly about 3 things in my shop, and then I'll wrap it up for today. Some things that I'm getting. I've got boxes everywhere in the house. I got to trim my hair, people. Look at this mop. Maybe I'll just go like this. I'll be like, oh, I'm all wind blown. I have boxes everywhere, and they're full of wonderful things. Oh, it's like I don't know if you're into archaeology at all. Oh crap, what was the guy? It was Carter. What was his first name? Anyway, the guy who found King Tut's tomb. They looked forever. He was like, I know there's a great tomb here. And Lord Carnarvon was the benefactor. He was like the guy with the money. So he funded all these expeditions, and they had dug and dug and dug and dug and dug, and they couldn't find anything. And it was kind of like a last resort, kind of like, okay, this is the last time we're going to dig. And they found King Tut's tomb. And you know, they found the door, and the door was still sealed. Because a lot of times grave robbers would get in to the tombs and then steal. Like, they would even go through the mummy, because they would wrap mummies with little protective amulets, little like jade beetles or, you know, stone carvings and things. And they would just strip anything of value. And so if the seal of the tomb was broken, it was like, oh man, there's not going to be anything, you know, there may not be anything in here. It may just be bones and a sarcophagus. But anyway, they found the door, and it was still sealed. And they broke in through the seal, and then Carter looks through the hole, and Lord Carnarvon says, what do you see? And he said, I see wonderful things. That had to have been so exciting. Plus, don't you wonder what it smelled like? There had to have been a rush of air out. And then they say there was a curse, but there really wasn't a curse. There were things. Anyway, that's what market's going to be like. You're going to say, I see wonderful things. And I have cool things. So I'm going to show you a few things that you could either get if you're coming to the show, or you can order them right today if you want to. One of the things that I had an idea to do, and I haven't finished the packaging yet on this, and this is, I don't know, my life is funny. I'm hand dyeing ticking to look like a dirty mattress. It smells like coffee a little bit. So this, you can get ticking at, I got this at Hobby Lobby. I bought it by the yard. I bought a number of yards of it, and I've been dyeing in half yard increments. And this, I am mainly like coffee and tea dyeing, although I'm using a little bit of other dye too, and some of my secret techniques. But it's kind of cool because it starts off as white and blue, and then I got white and red ticking, and it's a heavier, you know, it's a heavier cotton fabric, and the threads go all the way through. So this isn't a printed fabric; it's a woven fabric, like a homespun. Right? So it's kind of has a denim-y feel almost to it, but it's really sturdy. And I just thought it would be super cool to have hand-dyed. I have some hand-dyed cotton fabrics, but I thought this would be really cool because it would be fun to use for finishing. And it would even be neat to make even just a pillow out of it. So I'm selling this in half yard increments. I just have to do the packaging yet. I have some wooden things that are going to go on there, and papers, twine is going to go around. They're going to be really cute. So that's one thing that I'm doing. I don't have that on my website yet, but I probably will eventually order that. What did I forget? Oh, let me do this, and then I have a little bit of stash flash. I forgot to do that part. I knew I forgot something. What else do I have? Okay, the Pin Lovers Club. So I got this week the new Pin Lovers Club from Just Another Button Company. They're calling it the Star Spangled Mini Penny, which I love. I have this on my website now. I only get 20 of these, and so they're these pin sets. This one's got a chicken and 2 flowers. And so they make enough of these to fill everybody's shop order this month, and then they're not making it again. And then you get a card with it that has the link where you can go take the tutorial. And so, and it's just on their Just Another Button Company blog. This project I think is really, really cute. And it would be fun. That one, I mean, I'm like, ooh, I might like to make that. But then you get these pins. And so that's $12, and it's a really great little project. And their instructions are really good. Okay, the third shop thing, and I just put this up today. Like I said, I've been dumping out piles of crap on my couch. And I found these, which were some Raise the Roof designs that I made, called Needles and Pins. And they're just 2 little pin cushions, and these are stuffed with lizard litter, walnuts, crushed walnut shells. And they're just little pin cushions. And I was like, oh, I like those. So I put those up on my website too. If you look in cool stuff and other junk, you'll find them right at the top. Otherwise, look for needles and pins, but the and is an ampersand, this little symbol, this symbol here. So needles, ampersand, pins, and you'll find it. And so these I had fun finishing. I actually just finished them with linen on the back, hand-dyed linen scraps. I save a lot of linen scraps unless they're really, really small, because you can do things like this. And a linen backing is really nice on a pin cushion, you know, rather than, it just feels really nice, and it's a little bit heavier than cotton. So that's needles and pins. What I forgot to show you were 2 stash items that I got this week. Where did I put it? Okay, I got so excited about the cheesecake, I totally skipped over my stash flash. So I just have 2 things. One of them is London in Fragments, and it's not really stashed, but it's a book. It's a great book, and it's got really cool art in it, and it's a, you know how like sometimes you get a book and you're like, oh, that's a nice book. Like the paper feels really nice, and it's got these big tabs, so I use that kind of to mark the page. But so this is about mudlarking, and a number of videos ago I told you about Nicola White, the mudlarker on YouTube. Well, this is a friend of hers who also does mudlarking, which is looking for just scraps of things along the Thames River in England. And so here on the cover you can see a number of his finds. And the cool thing about this book is that it's all about like just little scraps of pottery, little pins, you know, pipes, all kinds of different things, medallions, buttons, whatever. And it's kind of like the history of the area as told by these little findings. And it's a very interesting book. It's very well written, and it's not, you know, terribly old or terribly expensive. You can find it on eBay, you can find it on Abe Books, you can find it on Amazon. I'm not sure if you can download it, but I would recommend getting an actual copy if you're interested at all, because it is a very, it's a nice book. It just feels nice. So I've started reading that, and it's really good. And I know that's not needlework stash, but deal with it. And then my last thing, oh, okay, I found this on eBay. It's an Exemplars from the Heart pattern, and you can't get these anymore. But this was, can I open this? It's kind of sealed in a funny way. But so this I found on eBay. I just was dinging around and I saw it, and I was like, oh, I always liked that one. I used to sell this back in the day, and it used to be what, $7. This one came from oh, this was from originally purchased at the Attic Needlework in Mesa. That's cool. That's cool. So this is the pattern here, and it says be ye kind, be ye humble, be ye loving all the time, TYME. And I think these are Jabco buttons on it that are bees. But I might see if I can find like a pewter bee or something, you know, something a little more like kind of primitive, or I'm not really sure. But I think it's really, really cute. And so I got a good deal on that, and I was happy to have it in my stash. Wonder what it's stitched in. Stitched in Weeks Dye Works. Some good, interesting colors like Coleus, which is an old color, but it's really cool. On muffin linen from Green Mountain Linens. Okay, so anyway, that's my stash flash. I gotta say stash flash. That's all I got for this week, people, because I am working my butt off. And thanks so much always for your kindness. You guys are awesome. This community is so great. You know that. It's great. And I'm going to continue to do the Stitch With Me videos. People have really enjoyed them and said that it is like visiting with a friend, that's kind of my mood that I was going for. So it's just like hanging out with me. I'm filming them on Sunday mornings. So next week I won't film any videos next weekend because I'm going to be at the show. But I will be taking video footage and taking pictures so that when I come back, I'll be able to do a StitchyTube about the show. It's going to be tricky for me because I'm going to leave for a week, you know, Tuesday to Monday, and then I'll be back until Sunday, and then I fly off to Seattle to babysit my nephews while my sister and her husband go on vacation. So and then I go to the Midwest Stitchers Retreat in October. So it's going to be a crazy few weeks, a lot of traveling for me. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also dreading it a little bit because, like I said, I'm a super homebody. So I just have to keep my spirits up and be positive about it and really just enjoy the people. Enjoy the people, because that's what it's all about. I wish we could just magically, you know, Star Trek, just beam out of here and beam into somewhere else. But, you know, I just feel like if they beamed me somewhere, my pancreas would get left behind or something. So I hope you guys have a great stitchy weekend. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye.